They straighten for the drive. Pep the Champ has the lead. Little John W. to the attack second. Parmel Landing charging hard in the center of the racetrack with Rizwan coming on. Final furlong. Here's Parmel Landing taking on the leader, Little John W. Parmel Landing, and CJ McMahon will win it.
And as they say, big balloons in that Rainbow Six payout. Whoever was alive, and we know the winning ticket yesterday, who brought it all down for some 436,000 plus. That ticket purchased up in Maine, and a non-sweat job there through the final furlong, as whoever hit it had all three horses, had five altogether, but all three in the try.
And that was some good handicapping, because you kind of knew going into the last race, it looks like this thing is going down. So big congratulations to whoever had that one unique ticket and hit yesterday's Rainbow Six sequence. It had been an elusive one for quite a while. We'd been slowly climbing up, but today we start anew.
Indeed we do. Zilch. That's your carryover number on the Friday, Twilight Friday card here at Gulfstream Park. And I was thinking driving home after the 10th race yesterday, and again, 400K plus, that old saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Well, I was saying whoever originally came up with that probably never hit a bet for almost $500,000. So good stuff there all around as we begin anew.
5 out of 6 doesn't cut it.
No, 5 out of 6, and that's a big zilch as well in the Rainbow Six. There is no consolation payoff, but again, we'll start to build it again, and that's the beauty of it. Just a 20-cent wager, and that is part of the festivities on this Twilight Friday here at Gulfstream Park, as the month of July basically comes to an end here on this final weekend of the month. You're up, beat the expert. I'm excited about this. I really am.
I am up, and pressure is on in today's card. You know, I actually had a pretty good day yesterday, so I was saying throughout the day, this means I have no shot at beat the expert tomorrow, because that is usually how it goes. But in any event, it's a lot of fun. First post today is 2:15 p.m. It is Twilight Friday with live music later on today. Your picks must be in before then. Just under an hour to get your picks in on our Facebook page. You can find my picks up on the website. And tomorrow, Jason, not only is Ron Nicoletti going to be in the dunk tank, but you are as well.
Yes, we are a daily double, an exacta box for the dunk tank. Good friend of horse racing, someone by the name of Andrew Choi, who's a tried and true horse player and just a terrific guy. Yesterday, offered up $500 to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund if Ron Nicoletti and myself would go in the dunk tank, and we said absolutely. So my dark day uniform, AKA my bathing suit, tank top, and flip-flops, coming to the office tomorrow, and there you go. But seriously, come on out to Gulfstream Park, and it is Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fun Day across the United States.
It is, and you guys are such great sports, but it should be a lot of fun. You can dunk your favorite jockey as well. That'll be going on the apron here tomorrow afternoon on Saturday for an absolutely fantastic cause, and should be a lot of laughs as well.
Yeah, we'll have a good time, and I know the riders are all good sports as well. And again, we say it often, and you sometimes forget that an ambulance follows these men and women who ride thoroughbreds for a living to work every single day, every single race. And I guarantee the replays of Ron and I getting dunked in the tank will be replayed throughout. You'll be filming. It'll be on social media. It'll be on the Gulfstream feed. You won't miss it. And of course, a big Saturday and weekend throughout the country, as always, Dreaming gears up against the Preakness winner, Cloud Computing, and the Jim Dandy.
Lots of Gulfstream horses to follow. Then we have the Haskell coming up on Sunday. Irish War Cry, the morning line favorite, it looks to be. So very exciting weekend, and we'll have 12 races on tap tomorrow afternoon. But first, I have to survive Beat the Expert Day.
I got a good feeling about Acacia. She's going to take it down. But again, play for free over on our Facebook page. And zeros are going to be very popular, not for the number of winners you pick today.
I hope not.
But the carryover totals on today's card. And obviously the multi-race wagers beginning the first. In addition to that dollar rolling super high five. You've got no carryover in that. We've got a field of 8 to start the program. And that is also the launch pad of Friday's early 5. Building on race number 4. big fat goose egg. There's no carryover, just a blank space there, but it begins anew, and you'll be putting in a ticket in a short while.
I will. Just a 20-cent wager, so we'll start anew today, and then we cap things off with the late pick 5. That's a 50-cent wager as well in the 5th race, and 9 races on today's card.
And without further ado, let's dive into the first of 9 on this Beat the Expert Twilight Friday. And the first race, again, the launching pad to that early pick 5. You've got a ticket, and what are we doing? Hopefully starting out winners.
I hope so. We'll give you a look at my ticket. Wanted to use 3 deep to kick things off in here. You can see early on in the wagering, Tiggertown first off the claim for Peter Walder is the favorite, and I think he's really the horse to beat, but backing myself up with just a couple as we get to the second. I really like Word on the Street. He's the one second off the layoff, and I'm also going to use the class dropper in Waldy. Word on the Street, I think this should be his to win, but he's had 3 races and they've all been beaten by slim margins, so we'll see if he can move forward today. As we get to the third, just 2 deep in there, 2 deep in the 4th. That's a 2-year-old Statebred Maiden Special Weight. I'm giving the edge to the ones with experience and using a couple in there in the 4th race. I like the 3, What a Classy Lady, and the 4, Controlled Fury. And then as we get to the 5th, Poison Art, I think, coming out of a key race is the one to beat, but again, backing myself up with a couple, $36 to start.
And I'm glad to see Poison Art among the 3 you're using in the last leg, the 5th of that early pick 5, because I like her quite a bit today. I don't know if you're going to get the 6-1 on the morning line there with Poison Art, but a major contender for sure. Now, we'll start things out with the field of 8 in this first race. Fast and firm, by the way, today at beautiful Gulfstream Park. 6.5 furlongs on the main. These are 12-5, 3-and-up claimers, and for me, most of the firepower was towards the outside. They've all likely have to get around the number 7 Tiggertown, who you've got on top and I've got in second, as we await for trainer Peter Walder to get on a run. I think he admits and maybe says so. He's very candid and very open, says, I'm a streaky kind of guy. He got that win in his first race back after getting his trainer's license back, and since then, it's been a bumpy road, but he's clearly got one fresh and ready to roll off the claim.
He does. This horse has been in good form, and we'll show that race last time out. He was beaten just a neck. It actually produced 2 next out winners, More Applause and Social Roy as well. He's the number 4 that day, and he started moving around the turn, and he held very strongly, but I want to freeze right there and highlight in the red cap. That's the number 2 Donegal Hall, who does end up closing very strongly, and we'll just let it roll now through the wires. The number 4 Tiggertown on the outside. Donegal Hall just kind of had more. I thought Tiggertown very game in here, but did end up getting caught.
Yeah, no reason to think today, coming in off a 71-day layoff, that he won't run his race. And I've noticed, and we saw, and we were happy he was here for a short time. We did see trainer Keith Bourgeois kind of struggle with his Midwest horses that were transferred earlier in the summer meet to South Florida. And it does seem like there's been a few horses claimed off that barn that have come back win or lose, but they've run well in their starts for new connections. And you obviously have that going today for the number 7 Tiggertown, who will look for his first win in 2017. I was very encouraged with the effort on the outside runner, the 8 off duty most recently. Coming back off a layoff showed there was no real ring rust. Now, granted, this horse likes a wet track, but I think he's equally proficient on dry, fast footing, and I just love the post out there with his early speed, and a horse who's won 4 or 5 of his lifetime races right over the main track at Gulfstream.
That speed will definitely be his best weapon. I took a wait-and-see approach, second off the bench. I actually was really intrigued with the class-dropping Dangerous Bend on the rail.
All right, speaking of class droppers, you've got a few in race number 2 today as we get on to this $35,000 maiden claiming race, I should say, for horses, again, running for the $35K on the turf at 1 mile and a 16th. And you say, well, where's Waldy? You've got him here, the number 5 horse, Grayson of Hanson, who I picked on top for a trainer who's got limited action as far as taking that special weight, the maiden claiming drop. But the barn, Francisco D'Angelo, 2 for his last 7 with this move. And I just wanted a new face dropping in for the maiden 35, where basically everybody else in this race, even though you've got some horses like the 1 Diamond Square, who's been running for the most part, maiden 50. Got horses that have already been beaten for the claiming tag.
You do, and I think that's certainly a fair assumption. That's why I didn't leave this horse off my pick 5 ticket, and I do think that his last race, he certainly faced the toughest competition of anybody in this field. So I certainly do respect him on the drop, and have found horses from this barn continue to get better the more that they race, the more starts they have under their belt. But I was really encouraged by the first start off of about an 11-month layoff, really, from the number 4 Word on the Street, and we'll backtrack to that race. This was on June 22nd, the number 2 that day for trainer Ralph Nix, and he was along the rail. Son of Greatness is the 3 on the lead right there. He wired the field, actually, to get the win that day. And Word on the Street, he was just kind of stuck waiting for room, and we'll just freeze right there. He's in like this bunch of horses along the rail there in the white cap, so he doesn't ever really have an easy time of it, and we'll just let it roll there. He ended up finishing 3rd. Again, good and a lot of tenacity off the layoff. He had Golden Away, the 1 there in front of him as well. He could regress off of that, Jason, but he could also improve.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance he's going to step forward in his second start back. Ralph Nix clearly had that horse ready to go, and they clearly liked him, getting Gaffleone to ride off that lengthy layoff from last July of 2016. But Ralph isn't the kind of guy who just cranks him up for one race and then they're finished. He trains for more of a, I'd say, the bigger picture, if you will, and a must-use. You're playing the early pick 4, the early pick 5. That's the horse to beat, the number 4 Word on the Street. 4-5, 5-4 for you and I. You want to add anything on race number 2?
I just ended up putting in the number 2 and 3rd, as did you. Arpanella had some speed from the inside. Last 5 have been in the money, so that's where I put them.
All right, fair enough. Let's get on to race number 3. Friday's Twilight Friday program rolls ahead with this field of 7 on the main track. Claiming tags $12,500. We did lose the outside runner, the 8 Sabrino, in a race that even with that one's defection, this is a wickedly tough, tricky race. And you can even see from our picks, Keisha and I, and that's the beauty of this show, we have a disagreement. We'll talk about the race. I landed, and it's a narrow nod to the number 2 Red Cotton. I'm just very encouraged with this horse's races over the last few weeks, and it really seems to me the addition of blinkers have really made a big difference with this gelding by High Cotton. I'm looking for him to fire another good effort today, dropping in for 12-5.
His last 3 races certainly have been encouraging, and he was beaten by Social Roy last time, who I think is a really respectable, honest horse. So you can definitely give him an extra nod because of that. He was on the bubble for me. I just really did prefer others a touch more, even though I don't really have much to knock about Red Cotton. I just went with the speed and the class drop of the 7 Golden Cantharos. I also saw that Joe Orsino, who did take the nightcap with Parmel Landing in the Rainbow 6 with him yesterday, but turf to dirt at mid-level claiming, he's 10 for 36, so about 28% win, more than half of the time in the money, and an ROI of more than $3. So this one, they tried the turf last time. It didn't work. He goes back to the dirt where he seems to be stronger, and he does get the class relief.
And it seems like Joe's got a number of potential major players on the program today, and of course we'll see one inside of him if the 6 Triumphant Joy can get the barn with the trainer Gerald Bennett off the Schneid. A rough go of it thus far at this newly begun summer meet that began, as far as the stats go, back on Summit of Speed Day, July 1st. That is yet another class relief and class drop horse in the 3rd, and then you've got another one who's having his claiming price cut in half. That's what really complicated this race. Number of horses are just dropping down so drastically, and even your runner-up, the number 5 Diamond Mint.
I remember this horse really turned the page when he came back, finishing 2nd at a big price and then breaking his maiden. They maybe got a little bit aggressive with him, stepped him up, tried the turf, and those last 2 races, I think you put a line through that, but before that, he's really been strong. I like to see Luca Panici in the saddle, and Donna Green's been having a good couple of weeks as well, with Conquest Big E winning the stake last weekend.
Yeah, it looks like he's bound off that 97 buyer here in the Coast is Clear handicap last Sunday. Looks like he's bound for the Philip Island at Monmouth Park towards the end of August, one of many races we talked about on Gulfstream Weekly.
Yes, absolutely. Don't forget to check that out on YouTube. We're getting ready for next week's show as well.
Indeed we are.
Always looking forward at Gulfstream Park.
Indeed we are. That's the beauty of the game. You win the Derby, it's on to the Preakness, and such is life as a racing fan. In fact, we'll look ahead to the Rainbow 6. We start things out with no money in the pool, but that's okay. Acacia's going 6 for 6 in the sequence. Her ticket and plenty more after this quick timeout.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet. We are racing.
Hey, South Florida, it's time to get social at sunset. This summer at Gulfstream Park, as the sun goes down, the scene heats up. Join us each week for Twilight Racing Fridays, a fusion of horse racing, food and drink specials, and live performances by local bands. Enter drawings and play horse racing bingo, your chance to win incredible prizes. Live racing begins at 2:15. Admission and parking are free. Visit GulfstreamPark.com for more details. Gulfstream Park, Twilight Racing Friday. Get social at sunset.
3 down, 6 to go on this Twilight Friday edition of Gulfstream today. It is Acacia and Jason joining you right outside our beautiful walking ring. The fountains are on, the palm trees are swaying, and it's all good, believe us, here at Gulfstream Park. It's good to have you with us for the second half of the show. And in looking at this rundown for race 4, we have Florida-bred 2-year-old maidens. I'm reminded we're just 8 days out from my first ever Florida Sire Stakes this coming Saturday, August 5th.
And it'll be a lot of fun. As you said, this coming Saturday, August 5th. Don't forget, first post on that day will be 12:10 p.m. We'll have 13 races on the card. We'll highlight some of Florida's top 2-year-olds, some nice stakes for older horses as well, so you don't want to miss out on that.
I think at 3 Rules just a year ago, went from a good thing locally to a good thing nationally when he really popped on everybody's radar with his overpowering win in the Dr. Fager. We'll see what Saturday's crew has in store, but for now, let's get on to the opening leg of Friday's Rainbow Six. Again, $40,000 purse in this Florida-bred 2-year-old maiden special weight at 5.5 furlongs. And in your early pick 5, you sided with horses with experience. Are we using the same 2 in here?
I added one more on for the Rainbow Six. It's still on the affordable side because we're starting anew, no carryover today, so $38.40 for me. I still think it's a manageable and good sequence in here, but using What a Classy Lady and Controlled Fury again, also added on High Francesco. Ron Spatz has Mo Cash this weekend up in the Amsterdam at Saratoga, so maybe a little bit of hot stuff going on for the barn as well, using 2-2, spreading in the 7th race. I think that's a tough race for sure, but definitely a good one. Lots of those tough 16 claimers on the turf in there. And then as we get to the 8th, just using 2. That one I think was really compromised by the scratch of Green Mansions. Totally changed the race in there. And then just 2 deep in the nightcap. I thought about singling All's Well, but ended up tacking on Cosentino as well.
I'm off Cosentino today. That may really take some weight off his shoulders for trainer Antonio Sano. I'm with you with All's Well, for better or for worse. He might lose again at a short price, and you hate to say now or never for a horse of his ilk at this time of the year. That looks like it really is. That's a field he should be able to manage with Tyler G sticking around for the nightcap. But let's move on to the cast here, and you're using 1, 3, and 4 in the Rainbow Six, and all 3 2-year-olds that are on your Rainbow Six have experience. We do go with a field of 8. You've got some firsters in the mix as well, but as far as prior experience, clearly the 3, What a Classy Lady, and the 4, Controlled Fury, they're the 2 this race centers around going in.
They do, and we'll backtrack to the last race for Controlled Fury because I thought that this was a big performance from him, breaking from the rail. Big jockey change today to Edgard Zayas as well. Just a very experienced and good finishing rider he'll have aboard today. But this horse I thought was ultra game, kind of trying to come up the rail in there. Chase Your Dreams was the number 9 closing on the outside. If we can just freeze, you can see Chase Your Dreams closing on the outside there. And then we're going to have these top 2 horses kind of dueling it out. And now we'll just go down to the wire, but again, along the rail, Controlled Fury holding ultra game for his debut in a tough post.
Yeah, that capital S who won this race, I would imagine is bound for the Dr. Fager Stakes. Yeah, he looked like a very determined, gritty 2-year-old by Wildcat Air, trained by Ralph Nix, and there's no reason to think Controlled Fury won't even give you a better race today, and a major player. Now, I got a little cute here, and I, being candid, didn't get any steam. I don't have any hot tips on the 5 Craft Brew, and it's that old racetrack saying, I fully admit going in, that old saying, if you didn't go to the wedding, why show up for the funeral? And I didn't have either of trainer Mary Leitner's 2-year-old winners on the year so far. This is a trainer. We'll give you a quick stat here with the barn that's sending out this colt by First Dude on the year over the last 3 months in 2-year-old racing. Here's a barn that all of a sudden has 2 wins. And keep in mind, over the last 5 years, they had only had 1 2-year-old winner from some 56 starters. So maybe this is just a 2-year-old crop, even though modest in size, that can run a little bit. Maybe that bodes well here at somewhat of a price for the number 5 Craft Brew. We'll also give you the lowdown of this son, again by First Dude, a Florida bred, who went for $13,000 at OBS April. This horse was an RNA, a reserve not attained, at $3,000 as a yearling last fall. Worked the quarter mile in 22-1 in that OBS sale. And again, I'm just staying with trainer Mary Leitner. Didn't have either of her 2-year-old winners. One at Churchill, one here at Gulfstream a few weeks ago. But today, we're going to have Craft Brew.
Today is the day. Hey, I like the name, so if that's a hunch bet in here as well. But I think that that's an anything can happen race, so you never know.
I hope
If
so.
you start the Rainbow Six, maybe want a little bit more coverage in here. Nice work tab for this one, too. As I mentioned, Hi Francesco actually comes out of that same race that Capital S did when he was just a little bit behind that blanket finish, but should improve second time out.
All right, Miguel Vasquez, third in the standings, has the call for trainer Ron Spatz. And again, perfectly said by you, we have nothing but good vibes and the best of luck to Mo Cash, who will be flying the South Florida flag Saturday on a major big card at Saratoga Racecourse in that undercard, Amsterdam. On to race number 5, and that's kind of the neat thing with these rare 9-race cards. There's just a ton going on with the multis. We cash out the early 5. We start the late pick 5 as well, and hopefully you and I will be giving each other high fives after the last race today when you win Beat the Expert and we take down both the Rainbow and the late pick 5. And here's a rundown with what I'm doing. The scratch of Green Mansions in the 8th race really hurts. You're looking at a short price on Blind Ruckus. He's the inside horse, and he's 0 for 18, I think. You hate to say now or never for him, but he looks like the best dirt horse in there. But the thing is, Green Mansions probably would have been around 3 to 5, 1 to 2 or so, and it's just a much better horse. But it's a moot point. He's out. We're going to anchor and build a ticket around Blind Ruckus. I'm a big fan of Poison Art. I also defensively used Kiss the Crown in the 5th race today for Maker and Gaffleone. The connections, obviously, maybe use her defensively. We're going to go 3 deep in race number 6. Cindy's Candy, the 5, Beauty of a Day, and one of the outside runners, the 8, Feeling Awesome, who might show some speed. Race number 7 on the afternoon, 3, 6, and 7. I am very much a fan of King Power. I think was a prescient claim, I should say, most recently for Joe Catt. And what do we get out of Dream Shot and Campaigner's Gold, who each of them freaked in their respective races, 1 and 2 back. Again, Blind Ruckus, the single with the scratch of Green Mansions, and we will take All's Well and the other horse coming out of his same last out field. Got a bad post today. That is the 11 Night Rhythm. But Acacia getting on to race number 5. Talk to me about Poison Art, who was so good 2 back on May 10th. And then last time out, was it the good turf that maybe she just didn't care for?
Maybe it was, and she is a little bit of a bigger filly, so maybe she didn't care for the give in the ground. Sometimes you see that those types of horses don't really take to that kind of surface. Now, it was moisture in the ground, but it was a very strong race. Sound Defense came back to win, getting an 84 Beyer speed figure in her next start. Some Roar came back to win, and the second place finisher, Koquiva Koa, actually did cross the wire first before being disqualified. So the top 3 finishers came back to run exceptionally well in their next start. So it was a very good race. I think that her race 2 starts and even 3 starts back first off the layoff were very good. I'll give her one more try today.
And Kiss the Crown, which might just be, if we're right and Poison Art reverts back to her effort over firm ground on May 10th, she's going to be right there. Win or lose, she's going to be right there. Is the main danger to her the 7 Kiss the Crown, who perhaps, and clearly you think there's another horse that might be able to sneak into the exacta, but the knock with Kiss the Crown is she has lost at some short prices and seems to have a little bit of hang in her.
She does. As Ron Nicoletti said, she would say she's got a little bit of chandelier in her. She does seem to hang a bit. She's burned a bit of money. You have to respect the connections. But the one, Southern and Sassy, will backtrack to her most recent start. This was where she did win as the favorite. She has some speed. I would imagine that she'd be able to stalk from the rail or to send. Here she's the number 3, so she sat just behind the pace setter in here. She got the lead, but then the one Wild Cheers was kind of intent on getting there. And here's where I want to just freeze and highlight again the number 3 Southern and Sassy. Edgar Zayas up that day. He really starts to work on her, and we'll let it go through the wire. I think it was in big part through his ride that he did get her up in time. Of course, Wild Cheers getting a little bit tired at the end, but I thought big performance from Southern and Sassy.
And we know trainer Antonio Sano, when he gets these horses in a groove and in a sweet spot, they can run often and they can hold their form.
Yes.
And clearly she thrives on her job out on that turf course as she starts for the 13th time on the season and just has never been better. I kind of missed her. I wish I had her in the top 4 now. A major player. But again, poison art for you and me. I like her. I like her a lot today. Let's move on to race number 6. We're back on the dirt here. We'll hit the main. 6.5 furlongs, 62.50, 3 and up filly mare claimers. My only opinion on this race was you may want coverage in here. You probably want coverage. It's just that kind of race where I don't think there is a singular horse that says, I'm the filly or mare to beat in this one.
There's no clear pace in here.
That is a good point, and you might have, and it might be on the slow side, the likes of Milbra. Perhaps she's up on the engine. The 7 Tail of Priscilla might be up there, and I would imagine Josie Gomez on the outside. She likes to ride speed, and I'm sure she has got the intention on wiring this field, and that's why, again, with that murky pace, I did put her second.
That's a very good assumption. It certainly could be the speed to the outside. I thought even Napa Valley Rose, the 4, might be forwardly placed, but I agree with you. I had questions about this race. I landed on a filly that has some prior dirt form, and earlier on in her career, Beauty of a Day, they kind of kept going back and forth between turf and dirt, trying to figure out what was her best surface. They've stuck with turf recently. She hasn't been running last time. We didn't see that same kind of luster from her that we had before. So Elizabeth Dauble's doing an excellent job preparing horses for the track, puts her back on the dirt. This just might be the right spot.
And her recent Artie's Bourbon Girl, who she picked up, I think, for 10 or 62.50, running here on Sunday. Late in the card, I think it's race number 9. She's done an outstanding job with that horse, and her horses come over ready to run and clearly have been performing well. A former assistant up north.
And they're covered in glitter.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
You pointed, that's right.
Their hinds have glitter on them. You can see, it's very fun.
We'll have to get a close-up. High def here at Gulfstream Park. We got all the glitter shots covered with Elizabeth Dobless's horses and a former assistant, by the way, to Jeremiah Engelhardt up north, and he's been on a good run of late up in the Big Apple. We are down with 6 in the book. We've got 3 more remaining today, and we come up on Friday 7th. $16,000 3 and up claimer at 7.5 furlongs. What do we get from the 6 Dream Shot and the 7 Campaigners Gold? I think that's one of the more interesting subplots on today's program as a whole, at least in my mind, because 2 back, Dream Shot was bet like he couldn't lose, and he fired a career-best 10-length victory that day for trainer Bobby DeBona. Came back in a tougher spot here on the 4th of July, didn't run all that great. He's back in for the 16, and then you've got my top pick, Campaigners Gold, who caught a fairly soft field last time in that 2 lifetime claimer, but he ran out of his skin and won by almost 10 on the turf.
He did. It's really amazing, and you bring up a good point. You kind of do wonder which version of these horses you're going to get. I did opt for the one that had the really strong performance 2 starts back, maybe a lackluster one last time, but it was against Starter Allowance Company. I do see this as a slight class relief, though there are some tough horses in here. If you remember on the Rainbow Six, I actually did go 4 deep for that reason, but I think it's a big jockey change to Tyler Gaffleone in here, and I remember I spoke to Bobby DeBona 2 starts back when he did win by such big lengths, and he said, you know, he needed a couple off the layoff. He was really actually hindered a couple starts back by the pace scenario, and he was saying he's just been training so well and he's really come into his own. So I think now he's got him spotted well, and if he lives up to the way Bobby thought of him, obviously thought highly of him when he won by 10 lengths, he should be in a good place.
Yeah, he's a must-use today, and again, very anxious to see what both Dream Shot and Campaigners Gold do, and I picked the Campaigners Gold aside from the fact that he's been pretty sharp of late for trainer Jose Pinch, and it looks like there's supposed to be some hitting in this race. Originally, I said, oh, maybe King Hood can just slow it down on the front end, and he gets pretty brave when he's left alone. But King Power is going to show speed, you would think, with Edgar Zayas. And Dream Shot, you know, Tyler's going to just, that horse has got a real high cruising speed. He's going to be up on the engine. I'm hoping things fall apart and Campaigner's Gold can get his late run set up. On to race number 8, this will wrap up the action on the dirt. Our final race over the main had the biggest scratch perhaps of all weekend in the 7 Green Mansions. With him out, you're looking at a short price on the 1 Blind Ruckus, and it's a horse that's had a nasty case despite picking up checks of seconditis. And I would, although after the scratch I have him on top, I would tread very lightly with him.
I would too, and probably after the scratch, he will be a short price, but he is 0 for 16, as you mentioned earlier, and he does have some natural speed and some solid dirt form. My horse is a complete question, the number 5, Salute the Colonel, who's never been on a fast main track before. His only dirt race was on the stop at Belmont, where he was beaten 50 lengths, and then it was followed by an 8-month layoff. So you can imagine something maybe went wrong around that time. And last time out, I thought it was actually a very encouraging race, even though he was gaining with a very late run on the turf. But they try him on the dirt, and he's actually out of a multiple stakes winning mare who was a 7-time dirt sprinter. So she's dirt pedigree, even though this horse is half to Pure Sensation, who's turf. Pure Sensation also won on the dirt. So I think there's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I'll give him a try today for good connections.
Yeah. Top connections, and I love seeing Joe Orsino have a number of these horses for the Generazios. He's got a 2-year-old firster here Sunday who looks very live with Tyler riding by Treasure Beach, and no reason to think Salute the Colonel won't take another step forward. And I get this was a 7-horse field before Green Mansions came out, but even with that said, the fact that Joe's running this horse back on the dirt, that might be the best sign of all. And I like the horse's last race with you. Just didn't have any position in his last start. What was that, 4th of July or Summit of Speed Day, July 1st. All right, we'll wrap things up here as we're starting to run short on time. The nightcap, a 12.5 maiden claimer, 7.5 furlongs on the turf. We did it yesterday with Sistine Sister, chalk-eating weasels right now on the set, and we will do it again with All's Well, who... it's now or never. Come on, you gotta win today, All's Well.
It is, and it's with the same connections as well. Our fate lies in the hands of Angel Rodriguez, Tyler Gaffleone, and Frank Carl Calabrese. But All's Well, putting the blinkers on, and I found a stat, first-time blinkers with maiden claimers. The barn is 5 for 20, so 25% win and a positive ROI, 322. So it's good numbers for the blinkers added. Maybe that'll just help this horse take that next step forward.
All right, Acacia up Fridays. Beat the Expert free to play on our Facebook page. You ready?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
All right, bring it on. 9 up, 9 down. Beat the Expert. Don't forget to play for free. Ron Nicoletti in the mix joining us here in our paddock set. And, of course, Pete Aiello, the voice of Gulfstream Park, coming your way next with a opening set of scratches and changes.